good afternoon. Welcome to Live with Sujay, Headliners of Hope. And it's always exciting to have you with us, and thank you for staying with us. Today, my special guest is a headliner of Hope. Her name is Trish Gathers,
Good
and we
afternoon.
welcome you. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. And you are the president of the Carmelite System.
That's correct.
Tell us what that is.
Certainly. The Carmelite system actually focuses on post-acute services, and it's sponsored by the Carmelite Sisters for the Aged and Infirm. So I actually work with nuns, no greater source of hope than sisters and their
Yes.
courage. And we're located in 7 states in the United States,
7
including,
states.
and we also have a facility in Ireland, and we have about 12 to 13 facilities, and we're actually on a growth trajectory right now. So we're hoping to extend our vision and our beacon of hope. That's actually one of our taglines, is beacon of hope to those we serve.
I love it. And so how does one find out about your sister? How do we find you, and how do you find us as patients?
Sure. So there's 2 different ways of really, coming into a Carmelite system home. Sometimes you just need a short-term stint within one of our nursing homes for rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And so really the hospital, we work with relationships with the hospital.
Sure, sure.
And then we also do a lot of social media so that people know who we are and they know to ask for us.
Is it limited to Catholic members of the
Oh,
Catholic faith?
absolutely not. It's for everybody. It's our ministry to
Mhm.
serve those who need these services, but it's not at all restricted in any way.
Okay.
The sisters have been doing this, and they actually were founded in 1929. They were one of the first congregations to be founded in the United States.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so
And where were they founded?
they were founded in Bronx, New York.
That's my hometown.
There you
Okay,
go.
yes.
And it's such an important area. And we want to make sure that we can continue to provide high quality access for the individuals in the Bronx. So we often focus on marginalized areas to be able to
Yes.
go there and serve, so
Yes.
that we bring our best service to individuals who sometimes have trouble accessing these types
So
of
as
things.
you were speaking, I was realizing I grew up on 213th Street in Laconia Avenue, and there were Carmelite sisters in the St. Philip's and James. There was a
Oh.
convent. Is it called a convent where the nuns lived?
Oh, yes.
And they were Carmelite sisters. Oh my goodness.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And so, and it's such a thrill to work for them. And I actually started my journey in Catholic healthcare in 2000.
Yeah, tell us
working
about
for-
that.
So working in Catholic healthcare, prior to that, I wasn't working in Catholic healthcare, but I was working in healthcare in general.
Okay.
And I'm a finance person. And so when I was working at Catholic Health East, I instantaneously fell in love because they were talking about just wage, which gives hope for
Yes,
people.
yes.
Making sure that we're providing access to care, the targeted people that we're working for, trying to be transformational.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it takes nuns, and you really watch them and the courage that they have had over all of these years, and they take a vow of poverty.
Yeah,
And
because so they're working with basically nothing, no funds, so they have to receive donations.
That's correct. That's correct. Donations and philanthropic donations are always very, very important to us.
Yes.
But the reality is, they also just gave their time and energy, and so while they go and pay their employees, a just wage, they themselves, as my Parish General Mother Mary Rose says to me, I'm going to ask for a 15% raise, but she gets paid nothing. So,
So
I'm like,
15%.
no problem, approved.
Okay. So I'll
So-
give you 50%, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Some of your homes, you said, are rehab for short term, but what if someone needs a long-term stay?
correct. And that's also very, very important. And so, we make sure that it's not just a typical long-term care stay. We usually have really good staffing patterns to ensure that the individuals receive excellent care and responsive care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to do when, there's finite resources, especially when the government, who is very generous in helping to support these systems for all of us to be able to utilize. But we still are able, through the philanthropic
Mhm.
donations, to be able to provide that incremental. We're not using it to profit, we're using it to serve. And
Yes.
so that's like one of the distinctive differences, and it's so, so important to us.
What are
And-
the 7 states that you're in?
Well, we're in New York,
Mhm.
we're in Massachusetts. Those are really where our greatest concentration of homes are located. We're also in Ohio,
Yes.
Kentucky, Illinois, Iowa,
Oh,
and
nice.
Florida. And then we also have a home in Ireland. So,
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
yeah,
That sounds intriguing.
yeah.
So in New York, since this show airs throughout Long Island,
Mhm.
where are your locations in New York?
Sure. Well, we have really exciting news here because not only do we have Ozenham Hall, which is in Queens, we also have St. Patrick's Home, which is in the Bronx.
Oh,
But
okay.
we just are able to announce that Cabrini Westchester, which is
Yes.
in Dobbs Ferry, Westchester, just joined the Carmelite system, and so that is the
Nice.
ministry, the last surviving ministry of Mother Cabrini, who did so much in New
Yes,
York.
I know that name.
Yeah, and she
Yes.
used to crawl into the sewers to take care of orphaned children, Italian immigrants.
Oh my
And she
goodness.
opened up orphanages and then they turned into nursing homes and hospitals.
Yes.
She got her start in New York. She actually wanted to go to Asia, but the Pope brought her and sent her here.
Mhm.
And she was sick the whole time that she was doing this. She actually had a disease that was a
Wow.
chronic condition, but she continued to push through. They
So she was the pre-Mother Teresa before we heard of, yeah.
Exactly, she's
Yeah.
our New York Mother Teresa when
Yeah,
you think about
yeah,
it,
that's amazing.
and, you know, same thing with Mother Angeline, who
Mhm.
was the foundress of the Carmelite, Sisters. She left the Little Sisters of the Poor because the model that the Little Sisters of the Poor, and they do outstanding care too, and we help them all the time with our
Yes.
ministry, like, we provide all of their financial and back office operations so that they can be efficient in making sure that they're caring for their residents. But back to Mother Angeline, she left because she felt as though taking care of individuals in a ward, she wanted to see them have private rooms, and that's what
Yes.
she started doing in 1929. Now
That is so
it's the
ahead of her
market thing to
time.
do, right?
Yes, exactly.
And that's what you find often is that sisters have this vision to see, you know, what they need to be doing in this moment, and they're
Mhm.
not afraid to make that commitment of resources. So how
Exactly.
can you not want to work for them? You know,
Wow.
it's not just that, it's not just hope, it's courage,
Yes.
right? And
So
I
do you
really
sit down with the sisters individually when
Oh,
oh, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and they call me all the time. I get
Okay.
my 6:30 AM call, it's Mother
Yes.
Mary Rose, and she's like, "Hello, God, hello, Trish," you know, and
Yeah.
not meaning that I'm the same, no
Right,
way,
no,
but
but
it's just like God saying, you know, "We need to get these things done," and then she helps to, you know, motivate me and keep me focused, and I do that because then they go right off to mass and then go right to work, so
so they
it's
live
just
in
that quiet
community, a
moment.
Carmelite community?
They do. They
Mhm.
have a mother house up in Germantown, New York. So we
Okay.
really are a New York-based organization.
Yes, yes.
And then the sisters also are, you know, in each of our homes. So like if something breaks in the middle of the night, you know, you'll see a sister, and if, you know, there's a plumbing problem, they'll fix the plumbing
Oh, that's
problem.
amazing.
Yes,
That's amazing.
they're there. They take the time to put their pantyhose on and everything
Oh
to
my
go over.
gosh. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Ireland. How did that happen?
Well, that's where Mother Angeline was originally from Ireland, and
Okay.
so, that's really how that happened, is that she wanted to make sure that she went back to where, her family was, and she
Yes.
had such a love of the elderly. She lost her father when she was young, and, she had to help take care of her grandparents,
Mm.
and that's when she was like, "You know, I really wanna help the elderly when I grow older." They actually just in Scotland put up statue in honor of her where she's holding the hand of an elderly person and has her hand on the shoulder of another one
Oh, how
because she
beautiful.
really dedicated her life to making sure the dignity in the final stages of your life is maintained
That
because
is so important. Yeah, I visit nursing homes regularly, and
nice, thank you.
yeah, the residents definitely want that dignity. Some nursing
Absolutely.
homes haven't perfected how to do that yet,
Right, right,
with the shortage of staff. But I just think it's nice to be kind,
right.
especially in your later years after you've given to this earth.
Right, exactly, and that's
Exactly.
what Mother Angeline always says is be kinder than kindness itself.
I love
And
it.
so,
That's my word,
yeah,
kind. To be
yeah.
kind. What were her years? And
Um,
Mother Angeline. When?
she came to, I know she opened, she died on the same day that she was born,
Oh my
you
goodness.
know, like the
So,
same date.
wow.
But I think she, was around 82, 83 years old, but
Okay.
I could be mistaken on that, I'm
Okay, but
sorry.
beautiful
But,
spirit though.
yeah,
So now you're not only the Carmelite system, but you also have something else you're leading,
yes, we have a brand new ministry, and it's called Careth.
Karen.
And we've been working with Schnepp's Media and
Yes,
Dan's Papers
yes,
because we really want to get the word out and the story because our sisters have done all of this work in a quiet way all along. Like they
yes.
didn't want the attention. But now we're seeing the importance of really trying to step up and help other congregations of nuns and other areas where they're coming to their completion. We still have a very active community,
Mhm.
but other congregations of nuns who have real estate and other properties, we want to work with them to be able to preserve those ministries. Like I think you just went
Right.
to something recently, like a retreat center, whatever it is. It can
Yes.
help for affordable housing, help foster people who are aging out,
Yes,
finding
exactly.
affordable housing for them. So we want to help them in preserving that footprint to serve the community need, and
That's
know that
amazing.
sometimes it's going to be mixed use. We're
Sure.
not trying to say that it's bad for things to
Right.
be properly developed, but we don't want to do it to the exclusion of those who are disenfranchised.
Exactly. Yeah, here in Sag Harbor, we have Comaria Retreat Center, which the nuns actually own. I don't believe they're the Carmelite sisters, but
Mhm.
it's just beautiful. They're on the waterfront, and so they're booked through 2025.
Oh, I believe it.
Because people want to be in this retreat space, and it feels so tranquil. I went there just to visit the executive director, Joan McGovern,
Mhm.
but it just feels so tranquil, and you feel the peace. I was reading a book called The Genesee Diary by Henri Nouwen,
Oh.
who was a Jesuit priest, and in his 7th year of being a priest, he was moving so fast. He said he kind of really wanted to regroup, so he checked himself into this monastery, and he just said that's when he really found his calling and his purpose.
Right.
We sometimes we get so busy doing. He said that I've been so busy talking about prayer that I stopped praying.
Yes.
And so he said I had to regroup. What do you do to regroup?
That's a great question because it's an interesting thing about needing to regroup, and sometimes when you're really trying to stretch yourself
Hmm.
and you don't get it to the finish line, that you can
Yes.
get really, really discouraged. But what I do is I paint. I'm a watercolorist. And I
Really?
paint with somebody from India. His name is Gaurav Dutta. He's an emerging artist, and I started painting with him around COVID because COVID was very, very stressful, and I
Yes.
just needed that respite
The
to
next time
be
I have to
able.
see one of your
Oh, I would
works.
love to show
Is
you.
it scenes or
Oh,
people? What do you
I
paint?
do everything, portraits,
Portraits.
yeah, I
Mhm.
landscapes, everything. So,
Oh, and I
yeah.
know watercolors are so pretty.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, but it's unforgiving too, so if you make a
Yeah.
mistake,
Yes.
yeah, it's hard, but, like, I'm looking at these beautiful flowers, and of
Yes.
course, I would love to paint these flowers as well. I love painting sunflowers, so I do anything like that. I try to do it, 2 days a week just to
Yes.
kinda keep my balance, and it's so fun to talk to him because he gives me another perspective,
Mhm.
and so it's really, really interesting, and he's younger too,
So how
so
did you find each other? He's from India,
yeah.
you're here. How did you find each other in this world of art?
Yeah, it's so I was taking various classes with art teachers,
Mhm.
and so when I was doing that, I was really not great at drawing, and so they said your art is really good, but you need to refine your ability to draw. And
Mhm.
so this other artist knew of him and referred me to him. So we set up a Google call, and I've been painting with him for the last 6 years.
Amazing. Well, you
So
definitely next time you have to send me some of your
I would
artwork
love to
because
do
we would
that.
have it all over the screen displayed.
Oh,
So, what brings you hope? This is called Headliners of Hope. So, you're a
yeah,
headliner with Kareth and with
yeah.
sisters, Carmelite sisters. What brings you hope?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I know the fundamental goodness that's in just about everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's the first spark is that you're letting yourself be vulnerable and open to
Mm.
allowing that person to be able to work with you, but also just to share who they are and
Yes.
what drives them. Because I really think that hope comes from when we can align our
Yes.
different visions
Yes.
and see where there's need and make sure that we can reach out through whatever we have to create that hope. And it's that energy. There's an energy there. It's
Yes.
not just a word,
Right.
it's a process and it's
Yes.
an act of helping people create hope and sustaining hope.
The
And
world
that's
needs you right now because we need some things to align.
yeah, exactly.
We really need some things because there is good in every person and every situation,
Right.
but we've got to find that common ground,
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. And that's really a big part of the Catholic Church and our ministries. It's called the common good. And
Yes.
so, that's something that we always try to bring our differing approaches. And sometimes it can get in the way because you almost become over collaborative.
Yes.
So you also need to know when to say there are constraints here of what we're able to do. And that's one of the things that I'm really working with the sisters. You should hear
What we
their,
have
their
capacity to do, really. Yeah.
Exactly, it's financial acumen, right? So
Yes.
I was talking to someone just the other day, and you have to tell them that you have these expectations of what you want to be able to do, but you also have constraints because
Yes.
if philanthropists want to give to you, they want to know that you're going to be good stewards with their money.
Exactly.
And, you know, often they want to invest in capital, which is something that we desperately need is investment in our capital
Yes.
to keep, it's part of the dignity of the person living in that building, right?
Yes.
And Medicare and Medicaid funding can only go so far. And so we utilize that for the care, but when people are able to help us on the capital side, then we can invest more in care.
That's
Because we
awesome.
always have to balance that equation.
Definitely, definitely. So I'll also ask, A plus B plus C equals success.
Yes.
So what's your A, B, and C?
Okay, well, and I hope this doesn't sound crazy, but like my mom was a postmaster. She was a postmaster of the year in the United States.
Oh, congratulations.
And what I learned from her was that she always had eyes to see, right? And so that is something that I think is really, really important. So when she was putting up the mail, and we were just from a small town in Western Pennsylvania, and she would put up the mail, but she would see if somebody had a hospital bill. And I would see how she would just go out of her way to be able to help that person
My
and build that
goodness.
rapport. So I think it's not just eyes to see, but it's the courage to act, which is why I
Oh,
just love working with the Carmelite system and the sisters and everybody in the ministry,
yes,
right?
that's
And
beautiful.
so,
Eyes to see and courage to act.
yes, yes.
Okay, and what's your C?
See, success is really seeing that you've made an impact. It's not the financial success, which I think a lot of people that the
Right,
finance is just resources.
exactly.
In the end, you're wondering what footprints you left on this earth
Yes.
and the impact that you made to help others. And I think that, you know, it took me time because when you're early in your life, in your career, you
Right.
have to be financially focused.
Yes.
But as you go on and you become wiser, you start to understand that it's not about that. That's kind of empty.
Yeah, I
You
mean, the
know,
scriptures say when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a woman, a man, I had to put away some childish things and you begin to get a clarity and some
right.
focus. So what do you think your purpose is?
I really do feel like I am in aligned with what my purpose is, and it's
Nice.
really to raise up the marginalized. And you know, I came from very humble beginnings,
Mm.
and I never forgot that. My dad worked in a union; he was a meat cutter, and my mom, as I said before, was a
And where were
postmaster.
you raised?
Western Pennsylvania,
Okay.
right outside of Johnstown. So I watched all of my brothers lose their, you know, their jobs through the economy, and they were
Yes.
steel workers, and they were eventually able to recover. But you know, so my purpose was I saw those challenges that people
Mhm.
go through firsthand, and I
Yes.
knew that I was very fortunate to be able to go and get an education. And I want to use those gifts. And I always had a prayer that I
Okay.
said, even when I was a child, God, please let me use the gifts you gave me to serve the needs of others and to do
Oh,
your
that's
will on earth.
beautiful.
And
That's
so I feel
beautiful.
like that is what I'm doing. And it really is the prayer that I used to say at night.
Oh, that's
Because there
great.
was times in school when I was younger where I didn't get straight A's, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I was a BC student, but by the time I got to college, and a teacher invested their time in teaching me how to really take a test
Yes.
because I would get scared as soon as I would get to something that I didn't know the answer. So I think there's a lesson in this too. Go beyond that and do the rest of the test, and you'll gain your confidence of everything you know so that you can
Nice.
address the things that you might not know, but have the courage to take a good guess or a good shot at it,
Right. So
right?
exceedingly abundantly beyond. Don't
Right,
get stuck there.
right.
Don't get stuck there.
Exactly, and
Keep
I
on.
think that that was so instrumental, but I went on to become, I had straight A's, and so
Oh,
once I
nice.
got past that, and it helped me throughout my career, so
That's a major lesson. So you didn't get stuck. You kept on going to gain your confidence,
right,
and you came back to retrieve that which you weren't able to do before. But
exactly.
you did it with more strength and confidence, and there's your courage, and it gave you courage to go even further.
Yes,
That's
yes,
amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing. Does Kareth have a meaning?
It does. So it actually is tied to the Carmelite sisters and the story of Mount Carmel, and in the Bible where Elijah went off and there was going to be a drought and a very challenging time, and the ravens fed him, but it's ultimately about hope.
Yeah.
It's ultimately so it's like you will emerge,
Yes.
and and the reason why the sisters picked Kareth is that we know that there's a lot going on right now in the world,
Yes,
and we do need hope.
we
And
do.
so that's how, we know that if we can just sometimes see things from unexpected sources too, and be
Yes, the
open to
ravens
it.
feeding and bringing food to this man who's
Right.
beside this brook that's drying up.
Yes,
Yeah, but
exactly.
unexpected sources.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so that, and having some faith and courage, and you will emerge. And I think that that's what we have to do. We need to stop trying to divide,
Right.
and we need to start to align and appreciate and understand the common good, and the commonness against all of us.
Exactly.
We're all humans, right?
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
diversity of everything is what makes everything more enriched and beautiful.
Very much so, yeah. That's what really makes this world. I mean, I grew up in New York City. I was telling someone on a previous show, I lived in a high-rise apartment near Yankee Stadium,
Oh, wow.
and on my floor were 17 apartments. We literally had 11 different ethnicities.
That's beautiful.
So I grew up, and all of us were playmates,
Right.
Lithuanians and Caribbeans and Southern Blacks and Northern Blacks and Latinas, and it was
Right.
just like, we didn't know that there were differences. We found out what was our commonality. We wanted to play jump rope and play
Right.
basketball.
Exactly.
And our parents had parties, and everybody came into each other's home, and we ate each other's food.
Yes.
And I think that's what made me strong, the woman that I am.
Absolutely.
Definitely,
Well, I think
definitely.
it's basketball too. If you played basketball, so did I.
Oh, what was your position?
I was the point guard, but then I
Okay.
was also a power forward.
I was a power forward in the
Yeah.
center. Do you remember when women couldn't run? Only two could go across. They were rovers.
Yes, yes.
So I played rover, I played center, and power forward.
Wow, there you
Oh,
go.
see, that was our
I
commonality.
think basketball's key.
I think so. I think so. I think that that's the common thing with our Catholic women, because Joan McGovern, who runs Comaria, we found out we both were basketball players
is that
and played
right?
the same position, we're the same height. So
Right.
I think that there's something there with the Catholic girls in school.
Yeah.
Where did you go to college?
I went to LaSalle
Yeah.
University, which is in North Philadelphia.
Yes.
And then I graduated, went and worked for Arthur Anderson, which was the largest accounting firm at the time in the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
And that's but I always knew that I wanted to focus on Catholic, I'm sorry, not on Catholic, on healthcare. My actual first goal
Yes.
was to work at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia.
Oh, how beautiful.
And that's why I picked Arthur Anderson, because I knew it was one of their clients, and I was placed on their job.
Okay.
And I got the opportunity when I left Arthur Anderson to work at Children's Hospital.
How beautiful. So you have a
was
strategy, a kind of an alignment strategy.
All the time,
All the time.
Yeah.
So now as that story of Elijah goes on, he's unexpected resources come to him. But later in it, he goes into a cave and he becomes depressed because there's this Jezebel that he thinks is going to kill him. So how do you deal with mental health, which is a major crisis now? Because
Right.
people have been going along nicely, being sustained and fed,
Right.
but then sometimes you hit a block
Right.
and there's mental illness. So how do you deal with that with Carmelite and Carrot?
Yeah, so that is often what disenfranchises people quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so we always have to make sure that we have processes that we assess all of our patients when they come in.
Yes.
And so we not only deal with it on a medical basis, but because we have pastoral care and spiritual care
Yes.
in all of our homes,
Yes.
that really is something that's different than other people.
Yes.
And that's an incremental resource that we have to be able to pay for. And we also have something called the Avila Institute of Gerontology.
What's that first word?
Avila, so it's
Avila.
from Saint Therese,
Okay.
Teresa of Avila. And she, but we have a pastoral care program.
Which
and
is so nice.
And we also have palliative care. So a lot of that is tied into palliative care as well.
Okay.
Of not only easing the physical pain, but the emotional pain.
Okay.
And, I think that that's what's so comprehensive about our care model.
Yes.
And I was so pleased because we had an interview of someone who was just coming in for an interim position at one of our facilities. And when we were interviewing them, they said, well, you took care of my father when he passed away. And then when my sister passed away, and I felt that was really, really touching.
Wow.
And she said, but what I always remembered was when I walked into the lobby, the welcoming that I had. It's not an empty lobby.
Yes.
Someone was there to greet and knew what was going on with my parents, or my dad and my sister, and then also just was asking, how am I? Because
love
it's
it.
not just about the person that's in the bed that we're taking care of.
Mhm.
It's the whole family that we're taking care of.
Yeah, which is so special. Now, Calvary Hospital is where many go when in their final days.
That's right.
So are you
I got a
relationally?
Carmelite story on that one
Okay,
too.
so tell me the Carmelite story.
The founder of Calvary speaks at the Avila Institute, or did. He passed away.
Okay.
But when he did, he used to say, "I'm a Carmelite sister."
Oh,
And
wow.
it clearly wasn't,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But so Sister Peter Lillian, who is the person who really founded the Avila Institute, worked in collaboration with him. So all of those principles are there.
Yes.
And then we offer 2 times a year training courses to anybody who's a nursing home administrator. Anybody can come in, and we also have
Really?
a lot of online courses, because we don't want to just keep that with our ministries.
Sure.
We want the people who
To go into all the world, you have to,
Exactly.
yeah, expand it.
Right.
Wow.
and
How
create
do people
access.
get in touch with you? Is there an 800 number or is there a website?
It's a website. It's www.carmelitesystem.org. and then-
TheCarmelitesystem.org?
No, just carmelitesystem.org.
Okay.
And then we just started a new website for Careth, which is carethministries.org.
And
So
Carith is CARITH,
That's
correct?
correct. That's correct.
CarithMinistries.org.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I don't do these interviews all the
No,
time.
no,
but-
you're good. You know
Oh,
what? I
thank
was
you.
getting ready to pass the baton over to you. You're really, really good. You're a great talker,
Oh,
very
thank you.
interesting. And this is information we need because this is about people,
It is.
in all stages of life. And all of us have a season. We're going to get older. We will be ill. We will pass. And we need people who care
Right.
through those seasons. And so,
Absolutely.
no, really, really appreciate the work you're doing. I'm so glad that Sammy from Dan's Paper, give him a shout
Sammy
out.
is so amazing.
Yeah, he
is-
introduced us via text,
Yeah.
and I was just like, Sammy, why are you pushing this woman? And this is why, because you were
Yeah.
supposed to be here, and this has been
Oh.
one of my most favorite interviews
Oh,
today.
Thank you.
And so thank you for
I
coming,
really
and thank
appreciate
you
it.
for joining us. We were with Trish Gathers of the Carmelite System and also Carith Ministries. And I'm live with Sujay, Dr. Sujay, all the way live and in living color. And thank our production team, LTV. See you next time.